Welcome back to the Blues Society of Northwest Florida's weekly podcast. I am your host, Paul Stadden, every single week talking with the really cool bands that are playing at the Blues Jams every single Monday night at Lily Marlene's in Seville Quarter. And tonight, we are pleased to be joined by Johnny Hart, a name that you should recognize because he is one of the guitarists for Fatty Waters. But it's the Johnny Hart Band tonight, and looking forward to having you there, man. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Paul.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about this because you've been the long-serving guitarist / singer. I know that you and Tyler kind of trade off that role with Fatty Waters, and this is kind of more your thing. And you've been playing with this band for I don't know, it's like 5 or 6 years or so. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer to be in kind of a role where you're the head man, you're the guy in front, you're the one making all the decisions for the band, or do you prefer to be kind of like in that group situation like in Fatty Waters?
Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of both.
Okay.
I enjoy having the double front man. I mean, Tyler and I play really well off each other.
Agreed.
It's a kind of an easier gig, if you will, sometimes to play, but it is enjoyable just to do my own thing because there's no question in direction,
right.
What we're doing. It's, we're not looking at two front guys. We're looking at one in particular. I feel I have more control almost, and I should say more freedom, really.
Right.
But there's best of both worlds too. It's kind of hard to pick one.
I feel you. Well, let me ask you this about the John Hart Band. I'm on your Reverb Nation page. You got some cool music listed up. You guys have any plans to do any recording anytime soon? Anything we can look forward to coming from the John Hart Band?
Yes, actually, I'm in the process of recording my first record, my solo record.
Nice.
It's been a really fun ride. In fact, I'm on my way right now. We're about to lay down the keys and some B3.
Oh, cool.
Very exciting.
Can you reveal the name of the album yet?
The name of the album is undecided right now. I'm playing with a couple ideas, but I'm pretty sure the name of the record is going to be it's a French word. It's called Frigent.
Okay.
And what that means is, have you ever listened to music and then felt goosebumps or had the hair on your arm stand up?
Oh yeah, haven't we all?
That's what that sensation means. That's the word for that sensation.
That is perfect.
Yeah, I'm really drawn to that word, and just, because that's the goal for me, is to make music that, first off, does that for myself, and then if it does it for anybody else, that's what it's all about for me.
Well, let's talk about that for just a second, because I want to get into your influences, because you got kind of a unique playing style where you don't use a pick, you're purely a finger picker. And I'm kind of curious how you got into that. Who was it that was your main influence? Who were your influences that got you into the styles that you're playing? And how did you came to not be using a pick?
Well, I started off doing classical music.
Okay.
And, that required just growing your nails out, like classical guitar. And so that got kind of a foundation there for me, which is really important because when you're using your hands, it's just like any other piece of machinery. It functions, and if you use it correctly, you can use it longer, and it works efficiently. And so there's certain attributes of learning classical. But I tell you, the first time I was really fascinated with somebody was watching. It was the Allman Brothers live at the Beacon Theater. They put out a DVD, and I saw Derek Trucks for the first time playing.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know you can do this. Electrify with your hands.
Right.
And that kind of got me into the vein of digging back a little deeper and going and, seeing, Robert Johnson used to do this, or
right.
A number of guys would play this way, and I kind of fell in love with the style, and then I really started falling in love with the different tones you can get with your fingers versus a pick.
Well, do you do, because you have guys like Mark Knopfler who kind of take more of a banjo approach to it. You have guys who do take the more classical finger picking. Then you have like even bass players who kind of like try to translate some of their bass technique into finger picking the guitar. Where do you kind of fall on the spectrum here? Are you more where it's like purely classical, or do you try to do kind of like that claw hammer, like tremolo kind of stuff like Mark Knopfler does?
Well, I like a little bit of both, and that's that's kind of where my opinion in styles and stuff is meshes with other things because
right.
you know, I really like the technical side and the clean, efficient side of classical music. I mean, even though it still has a lot of feel and a lot of emotion and dynamics to it, but it's
Right.
really practical, if you will. And then there's a complete flip side of it, which is just all feel and all just, you know, playing. There's not a lot of technique involved, but you're going more for the sound,
Right.
the tone, and something funny happens when you electrify it. You get all these other harmonics and all these other sounds
Right.
and options to play with. So I really think it depends on the style of music you're playing and the type of instrument you're on,
Right.
which really you know will let me make that decision more clearly.
Well, do you keep your nails out? Do you try to get kind of that sharper sound, or are you just going purely off the skin?
Well, you know, I really like the sound of nails.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been having trouble lately is because I've been working so much. It's been I've been blessed. There's been a lot of gigs for me,
Right.
and I've been breaking these nails, man. So right now my nails are short. I've been kind of just letting, you know, my fingers do most of the work. But tone wise, you'll find yourself you're working a lot less. It's a lot easier for repetitive motion if you have these nails. It's just your hands are built in with these little natural ticks that you have to, you know, that it comes out with a lot of different cool sounds. So I prefer my nails to be grown out, but right now they're real short and all beat up.
Yeah, it's playing on them steel strings, man. It's those steel strings. You're not playing on those nice soft nylon strings anymore. Well, let me ask you about your singing, because your singing style, to me, kind of harkens back to more like a jazzy funk kind of feel, rather than like a straight blues kind of thing, because you're not getting that rough growl. Who are like your influences in the singing realm?
Well, you know, that's honestly anybody good. I'm really fascinated. You know, I used to listen to a lot of Aretha Franklin, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I just love the way she, you know, her phrasing, her power in her voice, you know, the way she projects, everything about her is really, it really started making me want to sing, you know, whenever I heard her. And then, you know, I like all sorts of singers. Michael Jackson's one of my favorites as well. Just, I mean, he's a very talented individual in the way his phrasing and everything. I mean, those singers that's a little more broad for me. I'm a little less picky in, you know, as long as the tone and the timbre is there, you know, it just feels, it feels good. I really enjoy it.
Cool. Well, tell me who you're going to be playing with tonight, because I know you got a couple. You guys kind of share the load a lot with a lot of Fatty Waters guys playing in each other's bands. So who do you have backing you up at tonight's show?
Tonight I have Sean Peterson playing bass, which is a bass player from Fatty. So he's playing tonight. And then I have Brandon Warren playing drums with me.
Cool.
And, Shawnee and Brandon are a killer rhythm section. They read each other's mail like crazy.
Nice.
And they're just super tight, man. They're super easy. They're pro, super nice guys. It's just really easy to work with them. And the ideas that they bounce around on stage is really cool, because they not only listen and play to you, but they also give back. You know, it's more of communication instead of just, you know, running through the motions and getting through the gig. They actually lay it down and throw something back at you. So I think that's important to have guys that inspire you equally, and everybody, you know, everybody's sharing.
Nice. So it's going to be a trio tonight?
It will be, yeah.
Cool. Well, let me ask you this, because a lot of guys like to have a lot of people, like to have a big brass section. They want a keyboard player. They want a harmonica player. Do you like to keep the sound simpler, or is it just kind of a matter of practicality?
Well, you know, it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it depends on the gig. Sometimes it just sounds better with a trio.
Right.
You know, more guys would just clutter up the sound sometimes. You know, I don't want to get into too much of the technical stuff, but, you know, like if the room's acoustics aren't that great, sometimes if you have 5 or 6 members, it just gets washy. So you want to keep the number of playing players down, a number of notes, really, a number of, just stuff. You want to keep it down.
Yeah.
But, I love playing with a full band. I love having keys and trumpets and saxophones and all that fun stuff.
Cool.
And then again, also, sometimes you just can't afford to have everybody.
Right.
So some nights you just you can't hire 5 or 6 guys because you guys would all be working for pennies. And
yeah.
That's no fun for anybody.
Nobody likes doing that. Well,
nobody likes doing that. That's right.
Let me ask you one more thing here, Johnny, before I let you go and get on and do your recording of the keys for the new album. Which, one more time, what's that French word that you threw at me earlier?
Fusion.
Fusion. You're going to get goosebumps, I guarantee you, listening to any of Johnny's music. But one more question before I let you go. And it's one thing I try to ask absolutely everybody that I get on the podcast. When it comes to the nature of what blues is, do you think that it's cool to have all these mixtures of all these different influences and have things like jazz blues, rock blues, and all this sort of stuff? Or should blues kind of be stuck in one era, like the Chicago blues or Delta blues or something like that?
I think it's very important to pull from different influence. I mean, that's how new music is created. That's how self-expression happens,
Right.
The reason Chicago is what it is because it's a scene, and it has been a scene. And people have been, that time happened, and, I don't want to say like people are hanging on to the past or anything.
Right.
Not at all, because those traditions should be kept strong, and they should, they should continue on. It's very important. But, to make anything new and to expand and grow yourself, you have to pull from other sources.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear guys a lot of times that aren't necessarily, typical blues, and that's super cool as long as they have that feel, as long as they have that soul. Like blues is like an attitude. Blues is a feeling. It's an emotion.
Right.
It's if you put that same emotion, you can make anything blues. And I honestly believe that blues is in everything. It's just the foundation of music. It's one of the it's one of the center blocks, building blocks of music. So it's kind of hard to get away from it.
Right.
In a sense.
Well, Johnny, fantastic response. I really appreciate you doing the podcast today. Before I let you go, give me real quick, where can I find your Facebook page, your website, all that?
We are building a website right now. It should be done in the next month and a half, month
Sweet.
or two. You can find me on Facebook, John Hart. You can find me on, I have a personal page, John Hart, or I have a fan page, which is John Hart Band.
Cool.
I have all sorts of YouTube videos, and the record will be available very shortly. As soon as we have everything mixed and mastered, I'm just as excited as I can be, man, to get this music out.
I can tell. I am really looking forward to hearing it. I am really looking forward to having that CD physically in my hands. And don't forget, John Hart is spelled H-A-R-T. So look for him on Reverb Nation, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Johnny, it's going to be a great show tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man.